Namo tassa
Bhagavato Samma Sambuddhassa. Namo tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Namo tassa Bhagavato Arahato.
Recording in progress.
So this is more like a club of friends, no? So we will not talk too much. I hope you have some questions, but before we come to questions, I will explain some basic concepts and how to use them. Because we use so much, I'm supposed to talk about mindfulness, if I understand well. Can you hear me, everybody? So, mindfulness is a concept, and all we can understand actually is a concept. We don't understand the reality. I have been talking about that. We can only understand the concepts of reality. What really reality is our idea of reality. Now, in order to get a clear idea of reality, we need this force of the mind, which is called mindfulness. So now this word has become very, very popular. I have some friends or students who are teaching mindfulness, so-called scientific mindfulness. They are teaching in different offices and even at universities, but not necessarily they are clear what actually mindfulness means. The mindfulness is something you have all the time when you become a Buddha. We are not a Buddha, so we don't have mindfulness all the time. When you become a Buddha, you have mindfulness all the time, so you have also spontaneous reaction all the time. You don't need to make anything special in your mind. Whatever appears spontaneously because you have mindfulness. So for this it's very important to understand actually what this concept of mindfulness means. So what is the characteristic of mindfulness? How do we know that we are mindful? What do you think? Now, am I mindful or not? What happens if we are mindful?
You remember it later?
Not quite. It has to do with memory. We will talk about it. But the characteristic of mindfulness is that our mind does not wobble. In English, very good word, wobble. Like the fish, when it leaves the water, what does it do? It wobbles. When it wobbles, it means it searches for something, right? So this is very important to understand. When you are mindful, you are stable at your attention. If you are not mindful, your attention is not stable. So this is how we can know if we are mindful or not. Our attention to whatever we do whatever we speak, now I'm speaking. When we move our body, when we think, you should realize very carefully, precisely, if you're using your body, you're using your speech, you're using your mind with stable attention. Stable attention brings stable perception. Stable perception brings stable sensation. Stable sensation brings a stable mind. So, when we have mindfulness, the essence of mindfulness, according to the Buddhist tradition, is memory. Mindfulness translates the term memory. Sati means memory. But memory, we use it in regard to something past. I remember something, right, which happened before. But mindfulness in this sense of memory means memory of the present attention. Because we have memory of the present attention, so our mind is stable. When we don't have memory of the present attention, when we listen to Dhamma and at the same time we are playing with the computer or we are thinking about something else, then the meaning is missing, right? So we are attending something, but the meaning is missing because we don't have the memory of that what we're doing. We don't have the stable perception, stable sensation of what we're doing. So suppose you are listening to the Dharma, you are doing something else, then I ask, or you are reading a book, you're doing something else, then I ask you, what have you read? You can't remember anything. So this is connection with the past. Now, when you read the Buddhist scriptures in the time of Buddha, when the Buddha was speaking, so many people got enlightened. How is it possible? Because they experience the object of their attention in Samadhi. So the object of their attention became materialized, became clear in their mind, and their mind merged with that object. So, because you all like the stories, I will tell you one nice story from the commentary of the Dhammapada, one of the most important books of Buddhism, the base for understanding the Buddhist teaching, Dhammapada, the verses of Dhamma. There is a story explaining one verse where the four lay people, they were listening to the discourse of the Buddha. The one was listening very concentrated, not moving, his whole complexion, body, mind were in the state of deep contemplation. So he understood what the Buddha was talking about, and he could completely concentrate on it and make this meaning his own. Then he concentrated on that meaning got clarity about the meaning because of his previous habits. Our previous habits are not the habit of not moving the mind from the object of our attention. Therefore, we cannot stay with a single concept. We have to run to other concepts because our mind has no peace. When our mind has peace, we don't need to run to other concepts. We can stay with one concept for a long, long time and penetrate it completely, so that we become one with that concept. Now, the other three, they had not this ability to listen. To listen to the Dharma is a base for understanding the Dharma. Unless we listen attentively to the Dharma, we will never understand the Dharma. It is not possible. So, when we understand the concept, we can think about the concept without being distracted by anything else. When we're not distracted by anything else, then we can enter the Samadhi on that same concept. So that one, he was completely clear about the meaning of what the Buddha was explaining. So he got clarity and he lost completely all doubt about the truth of what Buddha was saying. He became one with the truth. The other one, while the Buddha was speaking, because of these previous habits, he was always the one was catching the branches of the tree. They were sitting under the tree. He was catching the branches and playing with the branches while listening to what the Buddha was saying. The third one, he was digging in the earth. And the fourth one, he used the finger to go deep into the earth and fidgeting. So after the Buddha finished his discourse, so Ananda, as usual, sitting next to him, so he asked, what is the meaning of this? This one, he's shining, his face is shining, he's listening in such a deep concentration. The other ones, one is playing with the branches, the other one is playing with the earth, the other one is digging his finger into the earth. What is the meaning of this? So he said, well, the first one, he had the habit, he has been practicing concentration. He has a habit of concentrated mind, not being distracted by anything else. So he listened mindfully with full awareness, and because of his clear awareness, he has penetrated the meaning of these my words. He became one with that meaning, and he got enlightened. Now he is beyond the doubt. He has entered the stream and he is sure to cease this worldly unnecessary worldly suffering. When we live in the world, we have to suffer in the body, but the message of Buddhism is that the suffering of the mind is not necessary. When we have clearly understood the causes of suffering of the mind, we can leave the suffering of the mind. Suffering of the body, not even the Buddha can leave. But the suffering of the mind is not necessary. This is the message of the Buddha. The suffering of the mind is because we don't understand the mind. To understand the mind, we need this power of the mind, of sati, of mindfulness. This is very important. When we have mindfulness, we can have awareness. When we have awareness, we can penetrate the meanings of the Buddha's words. So the other one was playing with, the one had the habit of concentration. This habit is the great power, blessing of the mind. Intelligent people, they have all power of concentration, but they don't know how to use it. Therefore, mostly intelligent people are very unhappy because they don't find satisfaction in drinking, they don't find satisfaction in changing the partners, they don't find satisfaction anywhere. So they very often very unhappy and restless. Restless people are often very intelligent, but they don't know how to use this intelligence because they don't know how to use their concentration. They become happy when they play music, they become happy when they paint, they become happy when they write poems, because they can unite their mind. But when they don't write poems, when they don't paint, they become very miserable, because they don't know how to use this power of concentration. If you have a power of concentration and you use it for awareness, you can become enlightened in this life, no problem. Now, he said the one who was playing with the branches, he has been a monkey in innumerable past lives. So now he cannot overcome this habit. Our karma is our habits. When we practice mindfulness, we are aware of our bad habits. When we don't practice mindfulness, because our mind is unstable, we identify with our bad habits. When we have mindfulness, we don't identify with our bad habits, we observe them. Because our attention is stable, we remember the object of our attention. So the function of mindfulness is memory, but memory of the present object, not memory of the past object. Because we have clear memory of the present object, we can recall it. And when do we have clear memory of the past objects? When we experience them intensively. When we don't experience them intensively, we don't have a clear memory of them. If I ask you what you ate for breakfast 2 weeks ago on Monday, you will certainly not remember. But if it is something very special, you will remember. Like when I visited the first time I came to the West, I had grown up in socialism, we could not travel. When I first came to the West, because I had invitation from my aunt who married an Indian uncle, so I got the permission to go to England. So I came to England, and the first thing I got from my uncle was a mango. I have never seen in Czech Republic any mango. So he offered me mango, papaya, and these things we have never seen. So I remember this taste for all my life. I can never forget it, because I experienced it very intensively, something new. I am inquisitive from my nature, so I remember exactly the circumstances, how he served the mango, how he cut it, Because I experience it very intensively. So when you have mindfulness, you experiencing very intensively because you are mindful. You are mindful, your attention does not shake. Because you are mindful, you are vulnerable. This is the thing which is difficult to understand. The same. Mindfulness implies sensitivity. The people who are mindful, they are very sensitive. People who are intelligent, they are very sensitive. Because being intelligent, being mindful, you are easily vulnerable. Because you take the feelings of the others and you experience deeply your own feelings. Right? So, what to do? Because you experience your own feeling intensively, you experience the other feelings intensively, what you do? You watch over your mind. The job of mindfulness is to experience things intensively and watch over the mind. That is being mindful. Being mindful implies the fact of watching over the mind. So that the mind does not bring you trouble, but that the mind is well guarded. There is a verse in Dhammapada, Chitam Bhutam Sukhavaha. Only the mind which is well guarded can bring you happiness. The mind which is not well guarded will never bring you happiness. You try for happiness, it will not come. Because you want happiness forcefully. But the forceful happiness, forceful attention, grabbing attention will not bring happiness. Only that attention which is also guarding the mind can bring the harmony into the mind. The happiness which is not guarding the mind will not bring you harmony and fulfillment to the mind. It is not possible. So when you have mindfulness, you have the intensive pleasant sensation, but you don't identify with it. You have intensive unpleasant sensation, but you don't identify with it. And when the sensation, whatever sensation comes, you are watching the mind. You are watching the mind so as to keep it in balance. This is the nature of mindfulness. It is the function of mindfulness is to protect the mind. And it protects the mind by keeping the object of your attention clear, so that the mind does not wobble. So all kinds of perceptions come, all kinds of thinking comes, but because you are mindful, you're watching over them. So in a Buddhist outlook, this is a difference with scientific mindfulness. In Buddhist outlook, the mindfulness is the base for non-judging and ethical behavior. Because we are mindful, we watch over the mind so that it does not create nuisance. Who creates nuisance? The mind creates nuisance. Which mind creates nuisance? The mind which is not mindful. That mind creates nuisance. That mind which creates nuisance is called in Buddhism pamada. That means negligence. Because you are not mindful, you are negligent. Because you are negligent, you grasp for your sensation. You grasp for your views. You grasp, identify completely with your desires. And this is what makes the beings objects of suffering. According to Buddhism, the root of suffering is in grasping. When we watch over the mind, we have some wrong ideas, stupid ideas, but we do not grasp them. We have some very pleasant sensations, but we do not grasp them, we do not identify with them, because we watch over the mind. We have some very unpleasant sensations, but we do not forcefully reject them because we are watching over the mind. So we know what is wholesome and what is unwholesome. The job of mindfulness is to distinguish between wholesome and unwholesome. And as far as Buddhism is concerned, unwholesome is always connected with the ego, with the self, with grasping for the self. When we grasp for the self, we are not mindful of the dangers of creating unwholesome. When we are mindful, we have unwholesome thoughts, unwholesome views, unwholesome perception, but we are mindful of what? These are only thoughts, these are only perceptions, these are only feelings, but there is no I behind them, so we guard our mind. So in Buddhism, in order to realize clarity of the mind, we have to have right concentration. Right concentration is based on right mindfulness. Wrong concentration is based on wrong mindfulness. What is the wrong mindfulness? Wrong mindfulness is grasping, like the cat, very mindful to catch what? Mouse or something else. Anyway, so tiger, when you train in the Buddhist temple, they will tell you you have to walk like a tiger in the sand. Tiger, extremely mindful. But that mindfulness is not right mindfulness. That is why, according to Buddhism, only we human beings, we have the privilege of penetrating the Dharma, because we don't have too much happiness, we don't have also too much misery, So it is much easier to guard over the mind. The gods, it is very easy to identify with happiness. The lower creatures, very easy to identify with suffering, especially beings in the hell and so on. But even the animals, they react the way they react because of the fear. They are most familiar with the fear. If you also have fear, you are in trouble among animals, because this is the most familiar feeling. So our mind is ruled by our habits. So the Buddha explained in this way, the one who was catching the branches, it is your monkey nature, catching. The one who is playing with the earth, it is a pig nature catching. The one who is digging in the earth with his finger, it is your earthworm nature coming to expression. So the human being is mixture of the monkey nature and of the divine nature. The monkey nature is based on a restless mind. The divine nature is based on a peace mind. And we are in between. If you cling to the present, you are losing the mindfulness. Therefore, this state of happiness does not last. If you reject forcefully the unpleasant sensation, you make this unpleasant sensation more and more clear, and you become more and more familiar with the unpleasant sensation. So you become more and more familiar with your fears, with your depressions, with your worries, because you want to remove something forcefully. You have resistance without watching over your mind. But when you watch over your mind, which is a function of the mindfulness, so these states, they do not last. Because they do not last, you don't grab. Because you do not grab, you protect your mind. When you protect your mind, it will give you pleasure. When you don't protect your mind, it's bound to give you more and more suffering. So this action of protecting the mind leads to awareness. And awareness is putting things together on the base of wisdom. So the mindfulness is base for concentration. If you are not mindful, you cannot have right concentration, because you will grasp. When you grasp concentration, right concentration is a state of balance. Samadhi means a state of balance. If you grasp, you cannot have samadhi. If you don't grasp, you can have samadhi. Then you can stay in a pleasant state for a long, long time. And the pleasant state becomes part of you. Because you have a balanced mind. Only the balanced mind can experience a pleasant state for a long, long time. If the mind is not balanced, it cannot experience a pleasant state for a long time. It is not possible. So it will always be restless. This restlessness is precisely due to the lack of mindfulness. So, from what I understood, I have to speak also about the four foundations of mindfulness and how they developed in the northern tradition, which is a big topic above the time allotted to us. You can further ask, but I will explain some basics. This essence of practicing mindfulness is explained as four foundations of mindfulness. Actually, all objects should be objects of mindfulness, but these four objects, they are the essence of the practice of mindfulness. But all objects should be objects of practice of mindfulness. This is what the Buddhist scriptures explain. But among all objects, the four objects are most important. The first is mindfulness of the body. As we have explained, mindfulness of the body leads to non-identification with the body. The body is, according to Buddhism, is the base for our identification. If we don't have this base, being with the body, then we don't identify. Because we identify with the body, our mindfulness does not go deep. The mindfulness can only go deep when we don't identify with the body. Because we don't identify with the body, we can have a stable perception and stable feeling. If we identify with the body, we cannot have stable perception and stable feeling. And the perception and feeling is what governs our mind. Our mind is governed by our feelings. Feelings are governed by our perception. What we perceive, that we feel. What we don't perceive, that we cannot feel. We can only feel what we perceive. How we perceive depends on our wisdom. Our wisdom depends on our views. And how what we view, what we perceive, will determine how we differentiate. And our differentiation is based on our process of attention, paying attention to the object. If we pay attention to the object without wisdom, always our mind will be fickle. If we pay attention to the object with wisdom, our mind will stabilize. And it will stabilize because our mind has a power of mindfulness. If it does not have the power of mindfulness, it will not stabilize. When it will stabilize, we will have all kinds of perceptions, all kinds of sensations, but we will watch over them. If it does not stabilize, we will not watch over them. We will just follow them blindly. So, our mind cannot become stable. So that which stabilizes our mind, that is the power of mindfulness. When the power of mindfulness is there, we can stabilize our mind. When the power of mindfulness is not there, we have no, so to say, effective, skillful means to stabilize our mind. So, mindfulness is the base for both, for concentration and wisdom. Now, I am to explain a little bit about the development of the concept of mindfulness. In early Buddhism, like in Satipatthana Sutta, this mindfulness and the four foundations of mindfulness, which is the essence of mindfulness, starting with the body, is based on differentiation, correct differentiation. Correct differentiation is the base for understanding mindfulness, as described in the Satipatthana Sutta and other suttas. To be mindful means to distinguish correctly. To distinguish correctly actually means not identifying. When we identify, we don't distinguish correctly. Because we don't identify, therefore we can watch over the mind. If we identify, we cannot watch over the mind. That which is a base for our idea of the self is the body. That which is the essence of the identification, that is the mind. And the mind being the essence of the identification is moved by our feelings. Mind is moved by our feelings. When we watch over the mind, we watch over the feelings. When we don't watch over the mind, we don't watch over the feelings. So the key to the distinctions of the mind, of the worldly mind, which we use in daily life, are the feelings. And there are no feelings without the body. The feeling is what links the body to the mind. In the feelings, all the other mental formations which form our mind, our attention, our perception, our thinking, our desires, they all join together in the act of feeling. According to how we feel, we think. This is a characteristic of the mind. When we watch over the mind, we watch over the feelings. When we watch over the feeling, we see the impermanent nature of the feeling. But in order to see impermanent nature of the feeling, we have to see impermanent nature of the body. This body is easiest to see the impermanent nature. The body now, when you well over 70, is very, very different from the body I felt 20 years ago, 10 years ago, 5 years ago, not to speak of 30, 40, 50 years ago. That is easy to know. The intelligent person will also know that the body he feels today is not the body he felt yesterday. Similarly, the body I felt when I was drinking coffee at the Tina's home is not the same as the body I feel now speaking the Dharma. So the body is process of change. Now the feeling is based on the body. Because we have body, we have the feelings. Now these feelings, they determine how we relate to the reality. So the wisdom in regard to the feelings determine how we relate to our mind, how we distinguish with our mind. Because the worldly mind always distinguishes according to the feelings. This is very important to understand. And according to the mind, then we receive the world, receive the phenomena. And we can only receive the world, the phenomena, through the mind. We don't have any other way. Mind is the base for the appearance of all the phenomena. If there is no mind, nothing will appear. So if things appear in accordance to the reality, this is called wise attention. If things appear according to our fantasy, this is called unwise attention. So when one practices mindfulness, one tries, by protecting the mind, to practice a wise attention, not to indulge in unwise attention. Because one knows that the unwise attention will bring disturbance into the mind. Now we want to have a discussion, so I will explain a little bit. So you have 4 foundations of mindfulness. One leads to the other. Understanding the body leads to understanding the sensations. Understanding the sensation leads to understanding the differentiating mind, which is a mind we use in everyday life. And understanding the differentiating mind leads to understanding the mental phenomena. The mental phenomena is all we can understand. Without the mind, we don't understand anything. So, according to Buddhism, all the mental phenomena, they are of one nature. That nature is the nature of selflessness. This is the teaching of Buddhism. This is the peculiarity of Buddhism. Buddhism is the philosophy of selflessness. Now, selflessness you can explain either on the base of right differentiation. This is done in Satipatthana Sutta, this is done in the early sutras of Buddhism, in the agamas, in the nikayas. But you can also study mindfulness. You can study sensations, you can study mind, you can study the mental object on the base of non-differentiation. So mindfulness can also be the base for both, for correct differentiation and for non-differentiation. The non-differentiation does not mean that I am blind, that there is a door in front of me, or that there is Tenzing or Tina sitting around. But it means I do not hold the image of these objects. I can know the object without holding the image. The image is called nimitta. Perception is holding the image in the mind. Because we hold the image in the mind, we get sensation. Pleasant sensation, unpleasant sensation, neither pleasant sensation nor unpleasant sensation. We have to hold the image in the mind in order to have perception. In order to have sensation, we need perception. So all is based on differentiation. Differentiation is, in this sense, holding to the image. When you hold to the image based on the power of mindfulness, then your mind does not wobble, we have said. So this is using the mindfulness for differentiation. But you can also use mindfulness for non-differentiation. I know who is here, I know what I am saying, but I don't hold to any of these images. Therefore my mind is protected. Because I know when I grasp for the image, there will be grasping for the self and grasping for the other. When I grasp for the other, it means I grasp for the self. If I grasp for the self, it means I'm sure to grasp for the other. When I grasp neither for the self nor for the other, that means I'm not holding any image in particular in the mind. So that is also mindfulness. And that mindfulness is emphasized in the Mahayana Buddhism. Mahayana Buddhism means the Bodhisattva path. The Bodhisattva path is based on mindfulness in regard to Bodhichitta. This is a peculiarity of the Mahayana tradition. Bodhichitta is a concept you have put together in your mind. Everything you can put together in your mind is only the concept. The reality you cannot put together. But we need concept to put together a reality. Otherwise, we have no way to put together reality whatsoever. But the putting together reality, we need both differentiating wisdom and non-differentiating wisdom. Non-differentiating wisdom is called suchness. In the Bodhisattva tradition, in the Mahayana tradition. The non-differentiating wisdom in the Theravada tradition is in regard to nirvana. Nirvana is the opposite of samsara. We are subjected to suffering because we hold to samsara. This is a basic concept. Samsara means 5 aggregates. Body, sensation, perception, will formations and mind. We hold to them, therefore we are subjected to suffering. Why? Because we don't understand the fact of selflessness. But the fact of selflessness is there, whether we hold to the 5 aggregates or not hold to the 5 aggregates. The selflessness is a fact. And this fact of selflessness is called suchness. This suchness can also become the object of mindfulness. The suchness is not opposed to nirvana, not opposed to samsara, not opposed to any concept, because it does not take any concepts. It does not take any concept. The reality, non-reality, false, right, good, bad, is based on concepts, not on reality. The reality is, in this tradition, is suchness. But we don't understand this reality. We meditate about the concept of this reality. But this reality of suchness is not composed, but we try to understand it through composing the bodhichitta. We have to put the bodhichitta into the mind to practice bodhichitta. Like we have to have a clear concept of nirvana in the mind. How do we get a clear concept of nirvana? Because we understand the suffering of impermanence. And the suffering of impermanence is real, but in suchness nothing is real. Impermanence is there, but it is not real because it does not belong to nirvana. It only belongs to samsara. Nirvana is also not real because it only belongs to nirvana. It does not belong to samsara. So you can practice mindfulness on the base of right differentiation, but you can also practice mindfulness on the base of right non-differentiation. Right non-differentiation does not clash with the right differentiation. If it does clash, it is not right non-differentiation. Right non-differentiation doesn't clash with anything. Therefore, it is called suchness. So, through the bodhichitta, you integrate the suchness into your practice of mindfulness. And this is very useful. And this is also in harmony with the original teachings of the right differentiation. The right differentiation and non-differentiation, they must be understood together. When you differentiate rightly, you protect your mind. When you don't differentiate, you also protect your mind. But in order to non-differentiate, you have to penetrate that the non-self penetrates all the dharmas. Not only the person, but all the dharmas. To understand all the dharmas means to contemplate the non-self of all the dharmas. The non-self of all the dharmas implies that whatever differentiation is there, this differentiation belongs only to the worldly reality. It does not belong to the highest reality. So, according to the Bodhisattva path, you can understand only the worldly reality correctly when you have a clear concept, clear understanding of the highest reality. If you don't have clear understanding of the highest reality, you will always apply the fourth idea of self-existent nature to existence, non-existence, good, bad. And due to this differentiation, you will hold to the differentiation. If you hold to the differentiation, you hold to your imagination. Because in the highest reality, no differentiation can hold. Therefore, it is called the highest reality. Now, this monk has been talking too much, but I hope my talk is of some use. If not, I'm sorry, I could not do better in this short time. We have half an hour for questions. So I hope you have some good questions. And if there is...
Thank you so much, Venerable. So for those who are online, if you have a question, you can pop it into the chat. And for those who are here, you're welcome to ask the question, or you can write your question into the pieces of paper and pass them over to me. Venerable, one of the aspects of the talk tonight was of the Four Foundations of Mindfulness, which you elaborated very well. The other aspect was linking that with metta.
Oh yeah, well, we cannot do too much, but very good question. I am grateful to this. The metta means the state of understanding the differentiation and not holding to differentiations also. Understanding the differentiation, you are a female, he is a male. This differentiation is true. No doubt this exists, but it exists only in the worldly reality. It cannot stand in the highest realm. Whatever differentiations they are, they belong to the worldly realm. Now, if he always, suppose he is your husband, if he wants to possess you because you are a feminine, not a, and then you will never have a harmonious relation, right? Harmonious relation is based on non-possessing. The true love, metta, is the love not spoiled, not frustrated by the instinct of possessing. It does not mean that you are not his wife. No one else can claim you. But your well-being is based on having harmonious relation. And this harmonious relation can only be realized when you see that in differentiation there has to be non-differentiation, in non-differentiation there has to be differentiation. So that female is female, male is male, and so on. But the ideal relation is based on non-possessing. So the ideal relation between the beings is relation of happiness based on non-possessing. Metta is contemplation of happiness in yourself and in other beings. Because we all beings have the desire for happiness, so you don't identify this idea of happiness with possessing, but with being useful. Loving the other is trying to be useful to the other. And in order to be useful to the other, you must reduce your instinct of possessing. And instead of possessing, pleasing. When you can please the other, then you can have a harmonious relation with the other. But so the metta is the opposite of hate. When you love someone, you cannot at that very moment, you cannot hate him. But after, if you love him with instinct of possessing, then in next moment you can hate him because he will not comply to your wishes. Right or not? But if you love with the idea of being useful to the other, of assisting the other, of being of benefit to the other, then you can create the harmonious relation with the other. So, for that, the same, you need the mindfulness. Not to identify so easily with your instinct of possessing, but identify with your instinct of non-self. This non-self has to become an instinct. And it can become an instinct only when you practice mindfulness. And due to mindfulness, you have the loving without harming. That is the connection between love and compassion. Because you love, you do not want to harm. Right? So when you benefit someone, which is love, then you don't want to harm him. And that is compassion. And how you do not harm him? Because you understand the selflessness. If you harm the other, you harm yourself. That is the deep truth of the Buddhist teaching. So the mindfulness and the metta, they are related. When you practice true metta, you also practice the mindfulness of benefiting the other and not harming the other. Due to that, in Chinese they are connected together, Sipai. They are inseparable. I love you truly because I want to benefit you. Because I want to benefit you, I don't want to harm you. Because I don't want to harm you, I don't want to possess you. Right? And how do we do it? By contemplating the selflessness. In Mahayana sense, selflessness of all the phenomena. In the original meaning, the selflessness of the person. But the selflessness of the person is necessarily implies the selflessness of all the phenomena. But it is often misunderstood. The selflessness of all the phenomena is, in fact, the base, should be the base for selflessness of the person. That is the Mahayana perspective. And the selflessness of all the phenomena implies the mindfulness of non-differentiation. The mindfulness of no real arising. In non-differentiation there is no real arising, but the things arise due to causes and conditions. No real arising means whatever arises has no self-existing nature. So these are the connections. They are very subtle. One has to study more, one has to contemplate more. Then one will benefit more and more. Then the life will bring more and more fulfillment. This is what is life meant for. All beings search for happiness. The easiest happiness is in love. But this love has to be connected with mindfulness. And the mindfulness is related to the state of selflessness. The mindfulness becomes continuous when it is related to the Buddhist teachings of selflessness, which is the essence of all Buddhist teachings. When you have understanding of selflessness, you naturally become mindful. Because we don't understand selflessness, we are not mindful. Because we are not mindful, we are not aware. Because we are not aware, we let the unwholesome states of mind which bring suffering last. When we are mindful, they appear and disappear immediately. Because we don't identify. The suffering, according to Buddhism, is based on identification. We identify because we don't see the benefit, real benefit for others and for ourselves. Real happiness for ourselves and real happiness for others. We don't understand. But all beings search for happiness. But that which is the biggest cause of suffering is precisely the misunderstanding of happiness. We are deluded about true happiness. According to Buddhism, true happiness comes when we practice mindfulness, so we protect our mind. The mind of the beings is the essence of the beings. When the essence is protected, everything is protected. And the essence of beings is the mind. And the mind is a confusion because it clings to the sensations. And it takes these sensations as being belonging to the self. Because we believe these sensations belong to the self, therefore we cling to this body. And we want to possess the bodies of the others. So, our mind is in confusion. What to do? Practice more mindfulness. Okay?
Yes, very good, thank you. And earlier you were talking about differentiation and non-differentiation. Is that synonymous or related to teachings on duality and non-duality?
Yes.
Thank you.
When you practice metta with the perspective of non-duality, according to the teachings of the Bodhisattva path, according to the teachings of, for example, the Sutra Alankara, Tarshan Brahmendra, you practice metta at the same time with the practice of non-differentiation, with the practice of the acceptance of the state, real state of things, which is no true arising, and with the acceptance of the detachment. Therefore, the better birth, because the better birth is based on the better mind, and the better mind is based on detachment. Detachment is the fundamental force of mind which enables balance. And balance brings a better state of mind, now and in the future and in the past. So, due to detachment, we have the better birth, because we watch over our mind, and that is mindfulness. We have evil thoughts, but we don't identify with the evil thoughts. We have confusion, but we don't identify with the confusion. We have all kinds of views cropping, but we don't identify with these views. So, we have the balance. When we have the balance, we have the better state of existence now and in the future. And when we die, we are not confused. That is due to mindfulness.
Wonderful, thank you. So we've got some questions and we've got just a little bit of time. So this person has 3 questions. Okay. I think I'll ask them separately. First one, is differentials and perceptions of the mind bad for mindfulness? Is differentials and perceptions...
what?
Differentials?
What is that?
Maybe they're referring to what you were saying earlier about differentiation, perhaps. Is differentiation and perceptions of the mind bad for mindfulness?
They are not bad. They are necessary. Otherwise, mindfulness of what?
That's true. That's a good answer.
If you don't have them, then you don't have any base for mindfulness. The mindfulness is in regard to body, to sensations, to mind, and to the mental objects. And if they are not there, then what is mindfulness?
Good point. Okay, thank you. Next one. Is craving for harmony or happiness not being mindful, or is that greed?
The craving is not a mistake, but the grasping for the craving, that is a mistake. We all have some kind of craving. According to Buddhism, all phenomena are based on desire. So we can have good desires and we can have bad desires. Good desires are based on correct view and correct thinking. Bad desires are based on distorted view and distorted thinking. Because we are subjected to them, we have a chaos in the mind. When we are not subjected to them, we have them, but with detachment. Not to have them completely, you are a Buddha, we are not Buddhas, because we still subjected to them, but because we have mindfulness, they don't last. So they become illusionary. They are Wangxiang. How to translate into English? They are illusions. When you see illusion as illusion, it is wisdom. Being sentient being means being subjected to illusion. If you're not subjected to illusion, you are a Buddha. Buddha is not a normal sentient being. He has no more Wangxiang. But we have Wangxiang, but when we know we have Wangxiang, we are sages.
Thank you. Great. What is the connection between selflessness and equanimity?
There is a selflessness is there are two kinds of equanimity. Equanimity means neither pleasant nor unpleasant sensation. But this equanimity is not wisdom. Then you have equanimity in regard to will formation, samskara, upeksha. This is wisdom. You have a pleasant sensation, but you don't grasp for it. You have unpleasant sensation, but you don't reject it by force. You have neither pleasant nor unpleasant sensation, but your mind is not excited, your mind is not dull. So, means you are practicing wisdom. When you're practicing wisdom, when the Wangxiang comes, you know it is Wangxiang. When you're not practicing wisdom, the Wangxiang comes, you're following the Wangxiang. When you're following these illusions, no wonder you are suffering. People in the world now suffering so much because mostly following illusions. Our forefathers, long time before, maybe grandfathers and grand-grandfathers, they had no time to follow illusions. They had to work very hard. So they maybe have a shorter life, but they don't indulge in illusions because they have no time. Now we have a lot of time and a lot of illusions. So many problems.
Thank you. Okay, we've got someone online who's asked, Venerable Sir, how does one recognize energy and rapture while contemplating the 7 factors of enlightenment?
Energy and?
Rapture.
Piti. Okay.
While contemplating the 7 factors of enlightenment.
Well, in order to understand them, you have to understand the 7 factors of enlightenment are to bring harmony to the mind. The harmony is established by mindfulness. When there is mindfulness, then it is a base for concentration. When there is concentration, so what do you need for concentration? You need concentration, right? You need prashrabdi, you need pliancy, right? If you don't have pliancy, you cannot have concentration, right? And you need what? Mindfulness is in the beginning. In order to practice wisdom, what do you need? You need Dhammavichaya, you need Dhammapada, the right differentiation of the Dharma, that is a base for wisdom. Dhammapada means wisdom. You need Dhammapada, you need energy, right? If you don't have energy, your object will not be clear. And you need piti, right? If you not have rapture in what you're doing, you will not be able to do it. And similarly, so you have to balance the factors connected with concentration and the factors connected with wisdom. When you balance them, then your causes of enlightenment will mature. Then the Eightfold Noble Paths can appear. If they not balance concentration and wisdom, then the Eightfold Noble Paths cannot appear. When the Eightfold Noble Paths appear, the form the nirvana or suchness will manifest in the mind. If the middle path does not appear due to the balance of wisdom and concentration, the Eightfold Noble Paths will not manifest in the mind. So you will not directly experience the object of liberation. Call it nirvana or suchness. Nirvana in a dualistic sense, suchness in a non-dualistic sense, but it doesn't really matter because nirvana only is one. So the sati is the force which keeps the concentration and wisdom together. According to Northern Buddhism, Abhidharma Koshana, the base for mindfulness is wisdom. According to Theravada, the base for mindfulness is concentration. Non-wobbling is concentration. But they actually, in the act of mindfulness, they should be united and balanced. And they are balanced by the other factors. Where there is different interpretation, but usually you have to wisdom, essence of wisdom is the right differentiation, Dhammapada, essence of the concentration is the Samadhi, and the Samadhi cannot exist without the prashabdhi, without the pliancy, and without the detachment, and the wisdom also cannot exist together without the energy. So they have to be balanced. When they are balanced, then the discipline, concentration and wisdom come together. When they come together, you can directly realize the object of liberation. Then you don't see this world as something real. It is the same. But in Mahayana, from the very beginning, you contemplate on the truth of suchness, which enables you to see this world not as real. But you have to have faith. If you don't have faith, you cannot contemplate suchness. It's not possible. So, actually, the Mahayana Sutra says that one should not teach emptiness to the complete beginners because they may misunderstand it. Chandrakya goes so far that the true Bodhisattva, when he hears the word suchness, he starts to tremble. Such is his deep impression of this suchness. He has such a faith. So we can hear the concept of suchness, but it will not make a deep impression in our mind. But when we want to follow the path of Bodhisattva, just the word of suchness will make us tremble. So we are the true adepts of Mahayana. I don't say that I'm not a true adept, but this is what the wise men say. Okay.
Thank you. Shall we continue? Mindfulness due to non-differentiation, is that the same as having samadhi without an object? Mindfulness due to non-differentiation, is that the same as having samadhi without any object?
It is the same.
That was easy. Next one. Is there memory in non-differentiating
Actually,
mindfulness?
it is neither same nor different, but it's better to say it is the same, because in samadhi of having any object, the thoughts may still crop, but they are not taken as some real object. So if they don't crop at all, then you are a Buddha. But this is not so easy. In our case, they will crop, but you will absolutely not identify with it. They are just illusion. Because the thoughts are illusion, the world is illusion. Because our world is created by our thoughts.
Okay, good. Thank you. So that was answering an earlier question. So the next question is there memory in non-differentiating mindfulness?
Is there memory in non-differentiating mindfulness? Sure, there is memory. Because when you practice the mindfulness without differentiation, it will become your habit. What other thing is habit than your repeated memory? Because we have bad habits, we have a bad mind. When we have good habits, we have a good mind. But the habits is not the self. That is the greatness of Buddhism.
Wonderful, thank you. Final question. Oh wait, hang on. There's two parts to this. First part. How to clear the mind from the bad experience or failure. Sometimes I use the anger energy to pursue the goal, but I feel exhausted. Sometimes so, how to use positive energy instead of my mind? How to shuffle the mind into positive mind?
Well, this is the practice of the Four Establishments. Love, compassion, joy, equanimity. We practice, and we change our habits if you want to practice Mahayana by practicing the paramis. And the cause of paramis, so the Nagarjuna says, are these four Brahma-dhammas. 6 paramis are caused or based on the four Brahma-dhammas. This is what Nagarjuna says. I'm not so wise. I just repeat.
Okay. Well, that was the last question. So
that is also
thank you so much.
And then last time, so we can transfer merit for the benefit of our session.
Thank you.
First in Chinese, then in Pali. First in English, we are English speaking. May the merit of this practice spread to our being so that we attain the state of Buddha. 愿以此功德，普济一切无等众生，皆空成佛道。Etavata chame sampam punya sampana sabbe deva anumodantu sarvasampadisiddhya. Etavata chame sampam punya sampana sabbe buddha anumodantu sarvasampadisiddhya. Etavata chame sampam punya sampana sabbe satta anumodantu sarvasampadisiddhya.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
So I hope we have learned something and we continue learning, and there is no joy which can surpass the joy of learning. have not much knowledge, but I can definitely say that learning has brought a joy into my life.
Thank you so much again, Venerable Dhammadipa. You managed to slot into Metta Centre again just before you leave, and we're so grateful for you taking the time and sharing your teachings.
I am also grateful, and we are all grateful for Tina doing such enthusiastic work for Metta and for Dhamma. So this is wonderful, and you can always rely that when needed we will assist you.
Thank you. I also want to express our appreciation for Brother Tenzin as well, just having his lovely presence here with us. And of course, if it wasn't because of him, we wouldn't be introduced to Venerable Dhammadipa. So thank you. And of course, thank you to everyone who's participated. I know it's out of our usual Wednesday session, but it's wonderful to see you all here, and for those online as well. We do have some short announcements to make. Our Wednesday session is still happening this Wednesday night, 7 to 8:30 p.m. All details are on our website. We also have a temple tour coming up as well as a Metta convention. So all of those details again are also online too. And finally, if you would like to support the work we do, then we would be very grateful for your donation, which you can pop onto our website and check out the EFT, or there's also our money box over here as well. So thank you all so much for joining us, and I'd love to see you again for our other sessions. And thank you again, Venerables. Very happy to have you here again.
Thank you.